Here's the next thing we're going to do with our pedometers. When I say go, you and your partner are going to stay together, and you're going to walk. You can talk and visit with each other. As you're walking, you're just going to keep walking around. When I say freeze, you're going to stop. Then you're going to compare your activity time as well as your steps with the partner that you are with. Let's open those pedometers and reset. Hold down for 3, don't forget. And stay with your partner. Just kind of walk and visit. Go. And walk a little faster. And freeze. Thank you, 4th grade. And stand tall. Open those pedometers. Let's take a first look at steps. Compare with your partner how many steps you both got. Raise your hand if your steps were pretty even. Raise your hand if your steps really weren't that even. Now hit the mode button. Go to activity time. Raise your hand if your activity time was pretty close. The reason your activity time is closer because this is the important part. Steps are going to be different because look at Brendan's taller than Brian. So Brian's going to take more steps because his legs are shorter. Brendan's going to take less steps because his legs are longer, even though you're walking the same distance. Activity time, you both have it on the same amount of time. That's why we like to look at activity time, because that's going to tell you that you both had it on for the same, and it seems a little more fair. Both had it on at the same time, even though your steps might be different. Hit that reset button. Click. Let's walk a little faster. Go. And freeze. Alex, thanks for that great freeze. Stand tall. Let's open those pedometers. Take a look at those steps. Alex, why do you think your steps might be less than Nick? Because you're taller than Nick, exactly. Check that activity time. Hit the gray mode button. Caitlin, is your activity time the same as your partner? Yes. Yes, because you both had it on the same amount of time. Excellent job. That's why it's important to always look at activity time as well as steps. Okay, 4th grade, when I say go, we're going to see what your stride length is. That means how far or how long it's going to take you to get from one end to the other. So when I say go, watch me first. I'm just going to start walking. When I get to the brown line, I'm going to start counting and how many steps it's going to take to get to the other brown line. So it looks something like this. Not start counting yet. I'm to the brown line. 1, 2, 3, 4, so on until you get to the other brown line. When you get there, there's a chart there. For example, if it took you 12 steps to get to the other line, you're going to look across from it and it's going to tell you your stride length. Let's try it, 4th grade, go. How fast can you get back on the brown line in front of me? Thanks for hustling, 4th grade. Raise your hand if you can answer this question. Why might you think all of our stride lengths are different? Lauren?
Because some of us have a different height.
That's exactly right. Some of us have different heights. Some of us are a little bit shorter, some of us are taller. So everybody's stride length is going to be a little bit different. 4th grade, you did a great job. Let's try it again to see how accurate our stride length is and how accurate your counting is. Remember, when you're walking, we don't start until I hit the brown line. Walking and counting to yourself. Go. How fast can you get on the brown line in front of me? By raising your hand, show me who had the same amount of steps. Great job. Excellent job being accurate. Hands down.
To calculate personal goals, students first must measure their baseline activity time. Illustrated here is how to use minutes of activity time for determining baseline activity time. It is easier for younger students to calculate if they round down to the nearest whole minute. The activity should be monitored in the same time frame. For example, a physical education class, a school day, or activity outside of school. To determine baseline activity time, accumulate 4 days of activity. Then calculate your average daily activity time by dividing the total number of minutes you have accumulated by the number of days, in this case 4. The result is your personal baseline activity time. If you are using steps as a measure of activity, repeat the process to find your personal daily step count. For many years, it has been common to recommend that a number of steps, for example 10,000, be accumulated each day. One of the reasons step counts were used for goal setting was that early models of pedometers could only measure steps. Newer models of pedometers now measure activity and even moderate to vigorous physical activity. However, national physical activity goals for children are stated in minutes per day, so it makes a lot of sense to set your goals using activity time whenever possible. Designing a personal goal is more meaningful than setting a single goal for all children. It can be discouraging if goals seem difficult, if not impossible, to achieve.
Thank you for those fast breezes. 4th grade, stand tall. Great class today, 4th grade. When I say go, you're going to hustle over. You're going to find a paper and your pencil, find your own space, and on your paper you're going to mark your activity time as well as your steps on your paper, which means you get to open the pedometer, find a seat, and record your findings. As fast as you can, find a paper. Go. Thanks for hustling, Brendan. Good job finding your space. How you doing here, Mike?
Hey, good. I wanted to ask you a question. Are we supposed to fill up the whole thing or just this one?
Just this one, because today's 2509, and then when we continue on for the rest of the week, we'll fill in that. But
Okay.
just today, and then on that one right there, you're going to hit your mode button. Great, that's your activity time. That's what you mark on that line.
Okay.
Perfect. Now on the next one, what do you think you should mark on that
My
one?
steps.
Right, and how do I get to steps?
Press mode again.
You bet, and mark it right there. Super job, you got it. Excellent job, Michael.
Thanks.
When establishing personal goals, most fitness and activity experts recommend a 10% increase over your baseline activity level. The personal goal illustrated here reflects that 10% increase over previously measured baseline activity level. Let's look at a worksheet designed for setting goals in physical education classes. The student in this example has accumulated 12 minutes of activity time in their physical education class. Her goal will be to increase her time by 1 minute for the next 2 weeks. If she reaches the goal of 13 minutes a majority of the days while attending PE classes, she will increase her goal by another minute, or 10% of her baseline activity time. If she doesn't reach her goal a majority of the days, the current goal is retained for the next 2 weeks.